Before the cities, before the roads, before the names humans gave to things, there was the forest, ancient beyond memory, breathing, watching. Its roots ran deeper than rivers. Its canopy caught the light and transformed it into something sacred. Golden shafts falling through living green like the fingers of a god counting its children. The forest did not need us to know it. It simply was. And in the being, it held every secret the world had ever learned to keep. In the oldest hollow of the oldest tree, something opened its eyes. Gold, enormous. Still, not the eyes of an animal waking from sleep. The eyes of something ancient returning, from somewhere further away than sleep could reach. The forest recognized it. The roots stirred. The stones deep below remembered. His name was Wolo, and he had been waiting. Ada Okafor was 11 years old, and she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Not in the classroom, not washing the evening pots, not doing any of the many useful things her grandmother said she should be doing. She was at the very top of the mango tree, arms wide, face upturned, the whole village spread below her like a map of everything she loved. Terracotta rooftops, cooking smoke, the red earth paths worn smooth by 100 years of bare feet. And beyond it all, pressing close like a held breath, the forest. Grandma Nkichi had been shelling beans at that stool since before Ada's mother was born. Her hands moved without looking. Snap, release. The soft rattle of beans in the clay pot. The compound breathed around her. Firelight, the smell of palm oil and morning. The carved wooden door her husband's father had made by hand. She had buried a husband here, raised 4 children here, and watched every single morning as the wall of the forest seemed to inch just a little closer in the night. She was not afraid of the forest, but she respected it, which is a different thing entirely. The elders had kept the covenant for 200 years, not written down, not recited at festivals, carried in the body, in the way a man straightened his spine when he approached the forest edge, in the things a grandmother told a child in the hour before sleep. The covenant was simple. The forest gives, the forest protects, and in return, what lives inside the forest remains inside the forest. Tonight, the council had been called because somewhere in the forest, something old and golden had opened its eyes. And a hunter from the north had come to the market with a notebook and too many questions. He had no name in the village, just the man with the notebook. He moved through the market the way water moves around stone, unhurried, finding every gap, leaving no evidence of where he'd been. His notebook held drawings, descriptions, market prices from cities Ada had never heard of, for animals the elder said must never be touched. He had heard the stories. He simply did not believe in them. That was the most dangerous thing about him. She almost walked past it, a shimmer at eye level, a warmth in the cooling green of dusk. And then, eyes, 2 perfect circles of amber light, looking at her from a low branch with an expression that stopped every thought in her head. The creature was small, smaller than she'd expected from the stories. But its eyes were enormous, golden, ancient, filling the space between them with a light that felt less like sight and more like recognition. It was caught, one small leg tangled in a vine hanging at her height, watching her the way something watches when it has already decided to trust you. Ada reached out her hand. Very slowly, she freed it, and it did not run. It sat on the branch, perfectly still, and it looked at her. Not the way an animal looks at a human, not afraid, not calculating, as an equal. And then it nodded, deliberate, small, unmistakable. Ada had read about animals. She had grown up beside the forest. She knew the difference between a reflex and a choice. This was a choice. The forest held its breath. She nodded back. She called him Wolo. She didn't know why. It simply arrived in her mouth as the right word, and he, somehow, seemed to already know it. They met at the great buttressed root every evening after school. She brought ground nuts. He brought the forest. She told him about mathematics, about her teacher who smelled of chalk dust and had never once smiled, about the girl at school who had a radio and played it too loud. He listened with those enormous eyes, and sometimes, just sometimes, he made a sound that felt impossibly like laughter. She would only understand much later what she was being taught in return. The rain came like a curtain being drawn across the world. Ada pulled her school bag over her head, bracing for the soaking. and felt nothing. Around her, in every direction, the rain fell in silver sheets. She could hear it. She could see it. Individual drops catching the last forest light like broken glass. But not a single drop touched her. She stood inside a perfect circle of dry, still air, Wolo on her shoulder, golden eyes bright. Ada looked up, spread her arms, tipped her face toward the thundering sky, and laughed until the whole forest rang with it. She had thought the stones were beautiful. She had not understood they were a message. That night, lying on her back on the flat rock by the stream, Wolo beside her, both of them watching the sky open above the forest canopy, she saw it, the stars above, the stones below, the same pattern, mirrored, exact. The sky was a map. The earth was its answer. Wolo's eyes blazed gold in the dark, and for the first time, Ada understood that she had not found him by accident. She had been brought here to learn something the world had been trying to teach for a very long time. She almost missed it. A thin wire, the color of dead leaves. Her hand hovered above it. She did not touch it. In the organic riot of the forest floor, roots and fungi and the slow, patient work of moss, the wire was a wrong note, angular, cold, manufactured. Someone had placed it here, carefully, with knowledge. Ada sat back on her heels and felt something shift inside her chest. The forest around her was silent in a new way. Not peaceful silence, waiting silence. She looked toward the village. She looked at the snare, and she made a decision. The notebook contained 47 pages of notes, sightings, dates, market contacts in Lagos and Abidjan and Dubai. A sketch, precise, detailed, of a creature with glowing eyes, and beside it, a price. The cage was custom-made, cushioned interior, breathable walls, designed to deliver what it captured alive and undamaged. The tranquilizer dosage was calculated for something approximately the size of a large house cat. Suleiman reviewed his notes by lamplight with the focused attention of a man completing a job he was very good at. He did not think about what the creature was, only what it was worth. He brought it to her in both hands, a small woven cord, fibers she could not name, 3 tokens, amber, carved bird, 1 fragment of stone that pulsed with faint gold-blue light even in full afternoon sun. She recognized the gesture. She had seen her grandmother make it. This is what you give someone when you are trusting them with something you cannot protect alone. Ada opened her palms. Wolo placed the cord across them. His golden eyes held hers without blinking. She felt the weight of it, not the physical weight, the other kind. She closed her fingers gently around it and said, "I understand," even though she didn't. Not yet, not entirely. Some promises are made before you fully know what they cost. She had practiced what she would say. She did not say any of it. Instead, she opened her hand. The cord stone fragment pulsed once in the lamplight of the council hall. Slow, gold blue, alive. 6 elders leaned forward. Ada kept her chin up. She had stopped shaking 10 steps before the door. "I found him," she said, "and he found me. And a man with a notebook has placed snares at the forest margin." Silence. "I was afraid," Nkechi said, "and I ran, and I have spent 60 years wishing I had not." The fire shifted. The stars above the compound wall appeared, one by one, as though they'd been waiting for permission. Her grandmother placed the glowing cord back in Ada's hand and closed her fingers around it with both of her own. "You did not run," she said. It was the best thing anyone had ever said to Ada. It would remain the best thing for the rest of her life. Three figures. A clearing in the dark. The hunter, lamp raised, rifle arm steady, facing the line of elders who had not moved, who would not move, who had decided before they left their homes that they would not move. And between them, Ada, small, still, feet planted in soil that was beginning to glow. The roots beneath her feet traced veins of gold across the earth, spreading outward like a map of something vast and old and fully awake. Above them, the trees leaned inward. Suleiman's flashlight found Ada's face. She did not flinch. Her fist was closed around the cord. The forest was listening. She heard her mother's voice in the dark, not with her ears, with the part of her that would never stop being 7 years old, waiting at the window. The forest offered her the shadows, two shapes at the edge of the dark, suggesting everything she had wanted for 3 years. Ada's foot shifted. The cord pulsed against her palm. She thought of Wolo's eyes, of her grandmother's hands around hers, of 6 elders who had driven snare stakes into the dark with her name in their mouths. She thought of the star map, the covenant, the things that remain when a person chooses something larger than their own want. Her foot came back. She turned toward the light, tears and all. He stood at the center of the circle, small, real, completely, heartbreakingly present. And then, not all at once, but gradually, the way dawn is gradual until suddenly it is not, he began to come undone, not into nothing, into light. Gold rising like smoke, like breath, like the long exhalation of something that has been held for a very long time and has finally been given permission to go. The forest floor opened in response, every root, every stone, every vein of the ancient earth catching the light and singing it upward. Above them, through the open canopy, the stars. Ada's hand reached toward where he had been. His eyes were the last thing, still and warm and full of something she did not have a word for yet. Then the word arrived in her chest, quietly. Gratitude, his and hers. In the morning light, she found it. A single feather on the moss-covered root, self-luminous, each barb carrying its own soft gold-white glow, as though it had been woven from starlight and decided to stay. She reached down. It was real, weight and texture and presence, a physical thing left behind by something that had gone beyond physical. Ada held it between her fingers for a long time. The forest was quiet around her, not the waiting quiet, the settled kind. She put it in her pocket, close to her chest, and walked out of the forest into the full morning. She was 23 when she returned to the mango tree. The forest had grown, not by much, but enough that she noticed. A few trees had stepped forward, as though the boundary had moved by mutual agreement. The feather was at her collar. It still held its light. She had stopped trying to explain this to people. She stood at the forest edge with her hand against a trunk and felt it, not imagined, not hoped, actually felt the pulse beneath the bark, slow and enormous and warm. "Hello," she said. The light in the roots stirred. She took that as a yes. She taught them the plant names first, then the root systems, then which stones carried light and what that light meant. The children crowded around with their exercise books and their enormous eyes, writing things down in the careful cursive of people who understand that some knowledge has waited too long to be lost again. A butterfly the color of new leaves landed on the biggest medicinal leaf and stayed there. One of the children pointed, speechless. Ada smiled. "Hello," she said to the butterfly. The children looked at her, then at the butterfly, then back at her, understanding already beginning to arrange itself behind their faces. Good, she thought, the good kind of beginning. At dusk, she came to the first great tree at the forest edge. She placed her palm flat against the bark, and the tree answered. Gold pulsed beneath her hand, slow as a heartbeat, warm as memory. The roots glowed. The first fireflies appeared in the mid-ground dark. Behind her, the village lit its lamps, one by one, the way stars arrive. Above her, the sky moved through its full palette, amber, rose, violet, and the Milky Way began to write itself across the deepening dark. Ada stood at the exact edge of two worlds she had spent her life learning were not two worlds at all, just one, held whole by those who remember to love it.